5, and also...
Well, essentially, doubling your size, probably.
Yeah, it would be about 20... Probably when it's done, it'll be about 2,500, 2,600 square feet.
Okay. More than double.
No, a little less than double. It's like 1,300. So,
that's what we had.
that's
upstairs. I'm making one of the bedrooms smaller.
Alright.
To open up. I want to do like a gallery at the top of the stairs. Open it up. It's so claustrophobic. And we're redoing the bathroom upstairs. So expand that by about 3 feet.
Well, what we want to do is take my room and Abby's room.
Okay, if we can come to order on the work session of the Mayor and Council for Monday, July 2nd, 2012. The time is now 7 p.m. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and attend any meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. The Mayor and Council of the Borough of River Edge have caused notice of this meeting to be published by having a date, time, and place posted in the Borough Hall, and notices were sent to the Record and the Ridgewood News. We're on the record both by voice recording and also by video. We can begin. We're going to dispense with the silent prayer and flag salute until the 8 o'clock open public meeting. If we could have a roll call, we could get right down to business.
Councilman Murphy?
Here.
Councilman Court? Councilman Coppola?
Here.
Councilman McMillan?
Here.
Councilman Bartoloni?
Here.
Councilman Papaleo? And Mayor Monterosola?
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. We have a Borough Administrator's topic, and we have Mr. Eric Kellian in the audience for the 2012 Community Development Block Grant applications. Mr. Eric Kellian, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Del and I both thank you for entrusting us again with this important task. I've been doing, as you know, probably on the upwards of 8 or 9 years. Been an interesting thing. I've met a lot of different people from around the county. Some sitting on there turned out to be old friends from many years ago. So I kind of know a lot of the people. The issue that we're running into, of course, is we've been cut every year. And this year was one of the most severe cuts, or I can say the last funding round was, we were taken out about 20%. When I started this, we were divvying up between 12 towns, somewhere around $8 to $9 million. This year we were down to 1.2. There is a big question mark whether this will even continue, whether we'll even have a community block grant this year or not. We won't know until Congress meets in January and February and they decide the reallocation of this or not. What I would suggest that as a governing body that you may want to do is draft a resolution to our congressman and our senator, that would be Senator Mendez and Congressman Garrett, and endorse the project and try to push it a little forward that way. I don't know if that's something you want to do. That's strictly up to you guys. As far as what to fund, you know, the borough every year usually has 2 or 3 entities that apply for money. Of course, the governing body always comes in with something. The Board of Education typically comes in with something. And last year we even had Riverdale put in an application. Typically the Riverdale application in the past had been for the middle school, but last year they tried to get us get funding for the field house, which is actually in Oregon, saying that it was middle school students that sometimes use it. The funding last year, the majority of the funding, $60,000 of it went toward a new bathroom at Cherry Hill School, and that was an application that was granted by the River Edge Board of Education. So whatever you apply for, you're up at least almost every time against the River Edge Board of Education. Typically the money that comes in is anywhere between 60, 70, 100,000, depending on what the application is and so forth. Keep in mind that as the cuts continue, the lower amounts come. The money is broken down into really 3 different pieces of the pie. The first piece is the biggest piece. It's called the hold harmless money. River Edge is not entitled to that money. That is strictly for low-income communities. That goes to 3 towns in our district, Elmwood Park, Hackensack, and Garfield. That money we don't even get an option for. The second piece of the pie, which is the second biggest, is really considered the brick and mortar. That's bathrooms. 2 years ago, I think, or 3 years ago, we got a new ADA desk over at the library. That's where that funding. So, if you said that if it was recognized that the borough needed a new bathroom in Borough Hall, as long as you made it an ADA compliant bathroom, you could apply for it. River Edge only has 2 groups of citizens that qualify for this kind of money, and that's seniors, as you know, we've been through that, and disabled people. Nobody else, including the people on the dais, qualify for that kind of money. The third part, which is the smallest piece of the pie, and is only about $150,000 allocated to that, is service money. And that's where we apply for senior services and so forth. And that's why we always get $10,000 to $15,000 a year in that range for that. So those are your ideas. Again, if the borough decides they want a bathroom for Borough Hall, and the Board of Ed wants a bathroom for the school, it is generally up to the committee, and they do, what I have to say weighs heavily on what they grant. You're only going to get one, you're not going to get both. So if the governing body comes and says, Jim, we really need this bathroom in Borough Hall this year, chances are you would get it. Chances are very good that you would get it, because I would follow your lead. But then Cherry Hill won't. So there's only so much money that the borough is going to get, so you should be mindful of that in your applications. And that's basically all I can tell you.
Questions?
Alan had a question.
Well, I just wanted to frame the discussion a little bit further. We had the kickoff meeting on June 27th with the block grant representatives, and as is typical, they provided us with the application information. They told us our deadline, I believe, is October 5th, but and we're limited to 3 applications. So I wanted the council to be aware that, the application process is open, that we will have listed on our agenda the discussion of what those applications should be until we reach a decision, and I have time to prepare the applications and do the endorsing resolutions. So tonight was meant to just, start a general discussion, provide some information. If you have questions as to what we've done in the past, I can provide you information on that.
Yeah, just the first question. We're down a bus, a senior bus. We had the one, the frame rusted out. In the past, I guess we had applied for and got money for a senior bus. Before I would want to go out for that and make that an application, just wanted to get a sense, though, what, the need for the second bus, how are we operating without the second bus? With just one bus, how are we doing? Do we need a second bus before we make that application? And if we do, then great. I think that would be an application that we should make, just for a new bus.
Ed?
Maybe Jim or Alan can answer the question, but based on the census block tracks, do we have any areas in town that encompass any street areas that meet the low mod income guidelines to get some of the infrastructure?
I believe, well, we used to have one, and that was Oswego Place, Lakeview Oswego. I'm not sure, I haven't seen the new map, so I don't know whether it's still qualified.
The new maps aren't going to be out until 2013.
So that was one, it takes in a little bit of the apartment area, so we had one very low and moderate. In 1998, we did shade trees in the area. We also did curbs in that area in 1997, but there was very little that we could do. Street resurfacing.
So we could check with John Lynch whether there's any sewer issues or drainage issues that might need to be addressed over there?
But it was back then a very limited area, very limited, and it may have changed since that time.
Well, they're still working off the 2000 census.
Yeah, but we could check, we'll check that out.
2000 or 2010?
No, they're still using 2000 maps. The 2000, 10 census maps will not be available till sometime 2013. That's what they told us.
Kathleen?
But we only have one full-time bus driver and a part-time. We only really operate only one bus.
We have 2 part-time bus drivers and 1 part-time dispatcher.
So the need for 2 buses is unnecessary, isn't it?
Well, what we had anticipated by getting the second bus years ago was that when there was servicing required and there would be, regular servicing, on occasion there might be need for 2, for instance, on a July 4th, we would run the buses for the seniors, and have 2 available. So there were some instances and there was some downtime when 1 bus was out of service. We found that, there were a number of times accidents and servicing where the bus had to be out of service, so it was to our benefit to have a second bus. But you can consider, when we bring back more information on ridership and usage, at the next meeting.
Because we have 1 bus that's still serviceable. I mean, and the other bus is now being put out of commission.
Yes.
Right? Was it sold?
No, we're in the process, Denise is in the process of arranging for that.
I have a question, Jim. Can Board of Ed apply for a community development block grant directly, or do they need a resolution from the governing body supporting the application?
I believe that they do come up for a resolution,
Yeah,
correct?
an endorsing resolution is required by the governing. It's not required. You've never come up with an instance where the governing body has said, no, we're not going to endorse this project, and we don't want you to apply for it. So in most cases, the block grant, as part of their package, does require an endorsing resolution from the governing body.
Okay. All right, we will discuss...
Great seeing everybody. Have a great 4th. I'll see you in parade.
Take care, guys.
Thank you, Jim. Bye-bye.
Mayor, as I said, we'll provide additional information on these 2 areas. We'll provide you information as to what applications we've made in the past and some grants, recent history. Give you some ideas to what the history has been.
All right.
Thank you.
2 items on the work session consent agenda. Well, before we move on to the consent agenda, does anybody have any preliminary opinions regarding community development block grant applications for 2012? School bus idea is a good one. Any other ideas?
I just think we should apply also for the dispatcher or the driver again. I think
Yeah.
anytime we can offset the operating expenses that...
Yeah, that is, Mr. Arakelian said, is a separate fund for
category.
service that we should absolutely try to submit something in that category. So we have 2 categories covered.
The new bus, I believe, falls under that brick and mortar.
Right.
So, I guess as soon as the schools have an idea, or River Edge has a school board has an idea as to what they would want to apply for, to let us know, and then, possibly weigh the merits of a bus or their project. Because you're not going to get both.
2 other thoughts. We will be receiving bids on the ADA doors, so I'm not sure whether we'll be able to do both with this grant, or whether we'll have to phase it and do one and then apply for a grant for the second door, so that might be a possibility also. Those bids will be coming in shortly, so we'll be able to see where we stand there. The schools typically are late. They are close to October when they finally send us a copy of their application. It's usually a last-minute thing to get a resolution on for the endorsing. Sometimes it's even after the fact. So I just want to forewarn you, if we have our liaisons to the schools, it might be a better way to reach out and try and get an early idea as to what's going on rather than waiting for an application to come to us to see all the details. So I would encourage the liaisons to reach out and see if they have any ideas at this time.
Okay.
Okay. All right, 2 items on the work session consent agenda. One is to amend Mr. Costa's contract for the Phase 4 design phase of the Howland Avenue improvements, and number 2 is a resolution to approve submission of an application for a sewer extension permit for Now Atkins at 230 Kinderkamak Road. Can I have a motion and a second just to move those two items?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any council reports tonight? No.
Just remind everyone, come out to the concert in the park tomorrow night. And, you know, of course, the parade starts at 11. Everyone up here, try and get there about 10:30, quarter to 11, so you can get set up and ready. So,
Yes, we have our, Anthony, we have our sashes in the back. You can sign out for a sash. So
They
you
are
could wear-
styling.
You can wear your sash.
I've heard about that.
When you march in the parade. And at the parade, we get usually little flags to give out. I have a question for you guys, whether there's a program or a written agenda that we can follow.
Bobby will be, Alphonse and I will be doing the honors
Yeah.
of,
We
emceeing the
MC
event.
the event.
Okay, good.
So.
I'll take care of it. Just call me up and I'll do my thing, and then I'll sit down and you guys can get on to the next thing.
We are looking for someone to sing the national anthem. Anybody? We're down a national anthem singer.
You're down at National Anthem singer?
Send me an email.
Wow.
You try the high school?
We have a few feelers out.
Nobody wants to hear me sing.
Ron Weiscarver used to do it.
Who?
Ron Weiscarver.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, he's got a nice voice.
Does he live in town?
Yeah, he lives on Webb, I think.
I will call him. Ron, can you spell his last name?
Weiscarver.
If we can't get somebody, can we play it?
We would never do that. That would just be
Or what are we
un-American.
going to do, just not have?
No, somebody will have to sing it, however badly it is.
Are you volunteering?
What are the bands that play?
Let's have a little American Idol up here right now to see who does it.
I've been practicing, but I'm not going to guarantee any.
You should try Ron.
Yeah.
Ron's got a very nice voice.
What street is he on?
Webb,
Thank you.
now 300.
All right. Tick, tick, tick. Any unfinished business?
Mayor, if you'll allow me, we received late this afternoon a response to our Resolution 247, which is listed for tonight's agenda on the historic New Bridge Landing. And there's a recommendation to change or amend the now therefore be it resolved. So perhaps Mayor and Council could consider it now, and then we could address that resolution tonight and amend it if the council so desires.
All right, I did forward to Denise an email that Kevin Wright sent to me with just a suggested revision of the now, therefore be it resolved paragraph. It doesn't really change in any substantive way the resolution in support of the DEP appropriating funds for the continuation of the New Bridge Landing historic site. So if there's any further discussion, maybe someone can make a motion to amend the resolution to include this language, so that we can take a final vote.
I'll make a motion to
Second.
amend the resolution.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, any abstained? Okay, good. All right, so that is Resolution 12-247 as amended. Good. All right, any new business? I don't see anybody calling for new business. We can open the hearing to the public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? All right, the work session is open to the public, if any member of the public would like to speak. Wow, this is probably a record. All right, can I have a motion to close the public portion of the work session meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? All right. We have two closed session topics, but we will adopt the formal resolution at the 8 o'clock meeting so we can go into these closed session and discuss these two topics that are listed on the work session consent agenda. All right, I guess we're just going to, nothing really to do until 8 o'clock. It's a shame.
Want to practice it, national anthem?
There you go. No, you know what, we can discuss, we can, while we're still in the work session, is this is not, I mean, this is just your legal opinion, right?
That's it.
I mean, but it's not attorney-client privilege or anything like that?
No, nothing in there is attorney-client privilege.
All right, did anybody see or did everybody review an opinion that Sam has provided us regarding whether or not we could put on a blanket resolution to go into executive session at the following meeting so that we can have a standing formal resolution adopted at every meeting to go into closed session at the next following meeting. And my idea was that if we did this, then we would not have to have these special emergency meetings. We would avoid carrying items of importance that we need to discuss in closed session for a week or 2 weeks until we have the next meeting. That was the idea. Sam did his opinion, and he can explain it.
Yeah, well, basically, I feel that it would not be consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act. The purpose of that statute is to provide transparency in government operation and also to provide adequate notice. The problem you're going to have is that I don't think we can meet the requirement of adequate notice, which requires that the agenda be published at least 48 hours before the public meeting would be distributed. In this particular instance here, by having a blanket resolution which would not indicate to the public what is to be discussed, I feel that you're running the risk of having avoidable discussion or business that would not meet the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act. I cited the act in section 10-413, which details the issue, and that coupled with the commentary to the Assembly bill when this statute was enacted. The whole idea being that there's an element of transparency that's required, so that you have these discussions with advance notice. And I think that's probably the biggest hurdle, that you cannot provide advance notice if you do have adequate notice as defined by the statute. This is on page 2 in the definition section of the statute. I think the problem is you will not be able to provide adequate notice of what is going to be discussed, and therefore I feel you will run afoul of the Open Public Meetings Act. There's a treatise that I referred to also, written by Thomas Scrivo, and he basically outlines it based on page 3 page 3. It's cited out of his volume on page 83. And he goes into it. He just says to exclude the public from any meeting or to discuss a matter, a public body must first adopt a resolution that states the general nature of the matter to be discussed and indicate the time, when, and under what circumstances the discussion held in the closed session may be discussed to the public. The formal resolution must be adopted at a public meeting for which adequate notice has been provided. And I think that's the biggest problem, is that the definition of adequate notice, those are words of art under the statute, and there's a requirement as to what constitutes adequate notice. So that I feel that if you did do something like that and did conduct business, and you run the risk of having that discussion or that decision rendered voidable by virtue of the violation of the Public Meetings Act.
All right, so here's my question, Denise. When adequate notice as defined by Sam and as indicated in the statute requires that there be 48 hours notice of the agenda. So my question is, when is the is the agenda available online and posted 48 hours before the Monday meeting?
Yes.
It
Friday.
is? Fridays. Okay. All right. So, if we did a blanket resolution to go into closed session, right? And then on Fridays, when the agenda is printed, if there's anything that needs to be discussed in closed session, the general nature of that item would be printed on the agenda and available to the public. Then there would be adequate notice,
Why
right?
would that make it any different than what we do now, then? That blanket resolution is going to help you in any way, then? The closed resolution has to be specific to what items you're going to discuss. So it'll be on the agenda no matter what. I mean, it'll be there Friday night,
Right?
but it has to be approved by the mayor and council. It's not approved yet until the night of the meeting.
No.
Yeah.
There'll be an earlier, there'll be at the prior meeting, there'll be a formal resolution to go into closed session.
Which is what we do now. We pre-close the meeting if we're going to have an early closed session at 7.
Yeah, but that means that we have to show up here at 6:45 to do it,
No,
right?
no, because other resolutions we've done, like tonight, I can put a pre-closed resolution onto your meeting, your next meeting to start at 7 o'clock. We've done that numerous times.
But the piece that's not being talked about here, if I may, is you have to know the topic the week in
Well, that's what I
advance.
said, you're being specific, I said that.
I think the mayor is
What I'm
asking
saying...
whether we could have a
Just a
blanket
blanket
resolution
pre-closed.
and put
Yeah.
the definition on the
Yeah.
agenda.
In fact, if anything now, the folks are finding they're becoming stricter and stricter. Because if you're very, very specific, you should be able to say contract or negotiation, now we have to be more specific, we have to...
Yeah, but that's for when the agenda gets printed for adequate notice. You have to give the specific topic that you're going to discuss.
You know, it has to be in the closed session resolution, too. It has to be in your resolution. It has to be specific in your resolution, not just for advertisement. You'll be fine.
And the 1013, Mayor, with all due respect, does seem to indicate that, but we would certainly defer to the borough attorney and yourself to make that interpretation.
Well, you can't defer to myself because I'm not sitting up here as borough attorney. I have an independent legal opinion, but I'm not wearing that hat. So the hat is worn by Sam.
I would say that
Sam's opinion will control.
I still feel that you need to adopt a resolution at a public meeting, and that I believe that that resolution, if it was adopted on the date of the meeting, would not provide the adequate notice that you would need. I mean, to list it, I think would not be adequate.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that other towns on their regular public session, they adopt a resolution to go into executive session at their next meeting. Okay? That's what they do. And they might not even have a topic to discuss. They'll just adopt a resolution to go into executive session at their next meeting. And then, if there is any item that the public should be excluded from because it's litigation or personnel or contract negotiation or one of the other items, then when the agenda gets printed with adequate notice 48 hours before the meeting, the specific matter that they're going to into closed session for is on the agenda so that the public has notice of what they're going to discuss.
So you can discuss it before you go into your regular meeting, you mean?
No.
I think what he's saying, and maybe you got a point there. I mean, if you publish the agenda on 48 hours prior, so you would have to do this, let's say, on a Friday,
Right.
and have it in the newspaper so that it could be at least 48 hours notice to the public, I think it would work. I mean, because otherwise you could have special meetings if you have an emergent situation, and it would amount amount to almost the same thing, except in this instance, you're meeting the adequate notice requirement of the statute by publishing it, distributing it at least 48 hours in advance. So the bottom line is by Friday, the Friday preceding or the meeting, you would have to have that topic published and distributed, promulgated.
In the newspaper,
Yeah.
just as a resolution,
No, the topic itself.
going into a closed session to discuss a certain topic.
Yeah, it would have to appear at least by Friday of the preceding that Monday. It's the only way I could think you could get around it.
But I don't know, I still don't understand.
The resolution we passed, though,
Yeah.
Would be the
to go
resolution.
into closed session has to state the general nature of what's going to be discussed in closed session.
That's correct.
So when do we pass that resolution?
Well, that resolution would be passed on the day of the meeting, but you would have to spell that out, in my opinion, in the notice itself. I mean, you would have to really spell out the nature of...
But if we're passing it at the time of the meeting, aren't we in the same situation we're in now? Because we don't pass the resolution until we're in regular session, and then we go back into work session, to then go into closed.
Right.
So, right?
I'm not following. Thank you. Well, I'm-
On a good note, I did find someone to sing the national anthem, so we're locked in.
Who is it?
The Saradnicki twins?
Mm-hmm.
Do they really want to do it?
Yeah, they really want to do it. Yeah.
Of course, they get sick and they were nervous about it.
You know, they said they want to
One
do
got
it.
sick.
Yeah, no, they said they want to do it.
They've done it before, right?
Yeah,
Yes, he got
yeah.
very sick. Poor kid.
It's probably going to be better than it was last time.
There's two.
All right. Any other items just for general discussion?
Are you saying another town does this, Mayor, or do you know?
Many
I did
towns.
not have-
Many towns on their regular list of resolutions, they'll adopt a formal resolution to go into executive session at their next meeting. When the agenda gets published, at least 48 hours in advance, if there is an item to discuss, they will describe the general nature of that item. If there's nothing to discuss, then there's no need to go into executive session. But there's an opportunity.
Right, you laid out the foundation.
You've laid out the foundation for it, and then you don't have that 2-week lag when you really have to go into executive session, and you can't because you didn't adopt the formal resolution.
But wouldn't you need to know that topic by the Friday preceding? You'd have to be 48 hours prior
Yeah,
to the
48
public
hours.
meeting.
48 hours.
Yeah.
Fine.
So I think you could do that as long as the notice is 48 hours before.
I'll ask the administrator.
And that 48 it's 48 hours, it's not 48 exempting Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays?
No, 48 hours.
48 hours.
All right.
Again, the only thing that concerns me, it's not so much the statute itself and the language of the statute, but in the treatise that you provided, where it says that the resolution we adopt has to state the general nature of the matter. So even if you give adequate notice in terms of 48 hours notice on the Friday before the meeting, the resolution that we passed at the prior meeting would not have the nature of what's going to be discussed in closed session. So that's...
So you'd have to pass it at the beginning of the closed session. Have an
Yeah.
open session to pass it to go in closed.
Yeah, which
I think
is
as
what we
long
do
as-
now.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think as long as the notice itself basically sufficiently identifies the topic 48 hours prior, and I think
You're good?
the adoption of the resolution on the date of the hearing would be adequate, in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, I could look at some other municipalities, how they treated it, and I'll look to see. Do you know of any that you can think of?
Just one point of clarification. We do an annual notice of our meetings. So we have our regular schedule that is published on an annual basis.
Right.
The 48 hours, to me, would seem to put us into the position of a special or an emergency meeting situation where we're sending 48-hour notice out that we need a different meeting other than the annual meeting to conduct our business. So, you know, you can have a meeting to conduct business, whether it be special or emergency, as long as we do the 48 hours, but that would be separate and apart from annual notice.
Well, I agree. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true.
Separate and apart.
But we're still having special or emergency meetings to address these particular topics.
Why don't you let me contact a couple of municipalities, I know a number of borough clerks, I'll give them a call and see how they've been handling it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like how we have a resolution on, at every public meeting for the payment of the bills. We would have another resolution on for the opportunity to go into executive session. And then, of course, we'd give 48 hours notice of the exact nature of what we would like to discuss.
You said something on these bills. There's a little Post-it note on here that says it's not our bill. It says this is not the Borough of River Edge's bill.
I see it.
And then there's three triplicates. There's triplicates of bills for you, Sam. I don't know why it's in triplicate.
Each particular activity is highlighted
So there's a separate one for each?
for each, yeah.
Even though they're all on the same
Yep,
page?
that's why each activity, different activities highlighted.
And then I was just going to ask about the shade tree ordinance. How, I see that you charged me like .40 for a phone call. I didn't realize that I was getting charged, we were getting charged for that.
I try to keep track.
I mean, this has been going on a long time. Is that, typical?
Is that what, difficult? you mean?
Typical.
Typical?
For a lawyer to charge your client for time?
I try to charge.
No, I'm just saying that
Since
it's
time immemorial,
it's ongoing for a long time. I didn't realize that,
since they created the billable hour. Yeah, that's how.
I've been billing time. Try to track my phone calls.
I won't be making any.
Okay, I have a question for Alan. Alan, I received this package from the Department of Community Affairs for state and local cooperative housing inspection program, where the state has authorized us to do, I guess it's multiple family inspections.
Yes, Mayor.
And they've allocated the sum of $3,000 to the borough. They want me to sign the authorization.
Yes, Mayor, I would ask that you do sign it. It's something that we have received for many years. This is the grant portion from the state to compensate us for doing what we call vacancy inspections. When an apartment is vacated, our health inspector goes and makes an inspection to make sure it is appropriate for the next renter to enter. There's a borough share that we provide, and we are trying to obtain these state funds as well. Once we receive those funds, we will amend our budget for them, and these payments will go to Mid-Bergen Regional to make the inspections.
Okay, so Mid-Bergen Regional does the inspections for us.
Yes.
And then,
Payments are made to them out of these grant funds and other borough funds if necessary.
this is to inspect all of the apartments, right?
Yes, upon vacancies, when there's a vacancy.
Okay.
Give that to me, I'll process it. Mayor, if I may, in answer to the question on Nova Engineering, the question that's been raised by this Post-it is as to whether it should be charged to our capital project on Howland Avenue, or whether it is a developer escrow account that should pay for this. I can obtain a clarification.
Yeah, I didn't
of
sign
that.
it, so.
Okay. You just stand it up, we'll get a clarification on
Okay.
that before we process it. Thank you.
One other item, Denise mentioned to me that we need a second alternate for the Finance Committee. Finance Committee Chair is currently Ed, and Al serves on it, and Tom serves on it. And then the first alternate is Kathleen.
Al was first alternate, now he moved up.
Al moved up.
Yeah.
So Al's a sitting member, Tom's a sitting member, and you're the chair. Kathleen's the first alternate. So, does anybody have any objection to appointing Anthony to be second alternate?
No objection.
No objection. I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Oh, well, while we're on this topic,
You got your first committee appointment.
I'd also make a motion to appoint Anthony to Historic to fill Councilman Porco's
Liaison, yes.
liaison chip.
Porco was,
No.
Historic.
Historic.
Porco was historic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll nominate Anthony
Council liaison, correct.
Yes.
the council liaison to the Historic Preservation Committee. Commission.
I'll make that motion to appoint him as the liaison.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Wait a minute, I didn't hear. I only heard one aye.
Aye.
Did I have to have a roll call?
No, I think we're good.
All right. All right, good. Any other new business? What can I mention? The car show's coming up on the 8th. I heard that there will be probably 200 vehicles in the show. So I hope everybody can attend at some point during the day to look at all the vehicles and hopefully enjoy the weather. It won't be too bad. Make sure that it's not total chaos out there.
Just on that topic, in speaking with Mr. Dunsey, originally he was supposed to have his food vendors in the pavilion in the park.
Right.
Apparently the vendors objected to that because they didn't think people would go into the park and they'd lose money. So he moved it back into the parking lot near the American Legion. He's running, or he intended to run power from the, I guess the light out there to power his DJ. Now I was wondering if Alan knew about this, if he had talked to DPW, or, you know, he needs a permit or something from us to do that, because
Do
just
what?
before he taps into, he was going to tap into the power at the pole, at the, I guess you can plug into the light pole out there.
There's
run his
electricity
DJ.
under the pavilion.
There's electricity.
But he's not using the pavilion.
There's electricity in the American Legion.
It's off.
No, just the breaker's off, that's all.
Well, there's
All you
no
gotta
power
do is,
right now.
all you gotta do is flip a switch.
Speak with Department of Public Works.
Yeah, I was just wondering if he
to
spoke
get access
to
to that.
Public Works. I think he spoke to them about the American Legion, and, you know, was told there's not, you know, power there. He's planning on getting a generator to power the food vendors. But I was just wondering about, you know, tapping into the power at the pole. If,
I couldn't venture a guess.
Yeah.
on that.
I'll speak to John Lynch.
We have new business. We did get this packet from the Historic Commission regarding the kiosks, the damage that's been done. So I was wondering,
I have not seen a copy.
Manning,
of it.
those kiosks.
did you guys get a copy of that?
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I'll show it to you, Alan. Somebody backed into it, or she's asking if it can be repaired.
Where's my copy?
It's in your packet.
Denise, you have a copy of this one?
I do.
You can keep that, we'll look into it.
Yeah, Alan, could you check with the police department to see if there's a report on file
Yes.
for identification of the vehicle that struck the kiosk? see if we can contact their insurance company to pay for the property damage.
They had another new business. This memo that we got regarding the Smith-Sondy asphalt in our last packet, what does this mean to us?
Mayor, if I may, we'd like to discuss that at the next work session. We'll have Rob Costa here to talk about the street resurfacing program and what this means to us, what it means to our program for this year. So that's going to be listed in our next meeting.
That's part of the cooperative, right?
Yes.
It basically means that the bids, Polworth is the lead agency for the cooperative on the street paving bids, and there was an objection filed. The objection ultimately was successful, so the bids have to be awarded in accordance with the court's order. That's basically what it was.
So it upholds all the work until that is finalized?
Yeah. A topic I wanted to bring up and get some conversation going is art in the borough. And the kiosk actually reminded me of it. We don't really have any art in the borough. We don't have any, I mean, we have the cultural center, but all of the art is within the building. We don't have any public art displays. We don't have any little sculptures anywhere. We don't have any blank walls that could have murals on them. We don't have a committee. Maybe the cultural center could actually spearhead a committee to see if we could create some public art spaces without using any public money. Just artists that would like to just create a work of art, have it approved by a committee, and then be placed in a public area so that it can be enjoyed by everybody.
Wouldn't that maybe fall under beautification? I know they've historically limited themselves to flowers and
Right.
stuff, but their goal is the beautification of River Edge. So perhaps that might fall under their jurisdiction.
I just wanted to get the conversation going.
Alan.
Yes.
One location that I know of that does display art on occasion is our library. I believe they do have.
Yeah, but I mean
He's
art,
talking about public
I know you're talking about
art,
something.
I mean art all over town. This weekend was my daughter's wedding. I went to Ithaca, and just you're walking down the street, and there was just art all over the place. In every nook and cranny, there's an artist that's displaying something, a mural, a sculpture.
Public installation.
Yeah. And it's just there, it's labeled, it's for everybody to enjoy. It's not provocative, it doesn't have a hidden message, it's just a piece of art that anyone can enjoy, abstract or, and it would just, I don't know if we have any, I'm sure in every community there's artists, that would love to display their work in a public place, so.
We have people asking for it. Not Mr. Carroll, but other people.
What do you mean?
I'm just joking with him.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to see if he was listening.
The doggy park.
Dogs playing poker, kind of stuff.
You want me to report on it? All right.
Oh, I thought you meant art.
At the last meeting, I did mention that,
You were not here.
I did mention that we were successful with the community support in convincing the county executive and the director of parks for the county to install a dog play run at Van Saun Park. It's going to be away from the children's play area. It's going to be away from the pond. It's going to be in a pretty secluded spot. It's going to have an area for smaller dogs and a separate area for larger dogs. It's going to have a stone dust base. It's going to have water available.
And benches.
It's going to have some benches. And it's not going to cost River Edge one penny. And there are a lot of pet owners in town that socialize by walking their dogs in the park now. I can actually have a place where you can bring your dog so that your dog can socialize with other animals. So it's a good thing. It's going to make the community a better place, I think. You know, just a little. I really can't believe we got it done in this day and age with the economic situation that we're in. But I think it's just power of the internet. We had an online petition, we had a Facebook page, we had Mr. Fugazi and Kathleen Murphy championing the cause. I took the petition and went down to Kathy Donovan and spoke to her. It's just everything just kind of fell into place, and we got it done. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. What else? Anything else? Anything else anyone wants to bring up?
I was just reading the Historic Commission's minutes. They will be having a Calico Frolic at the Historic New Village Landing, July 14th, 7 to 9. Ladies and gentlemen, please take partners. They invite the public at 6:30. It's $12 for members. So they're opening up the Campbell Christie House and the Steuben House.
Does anybody know, thank you, does anybody know if there are going to be other musical events in the park, in Memorial Park this summer?
No, there will
This
not
summer?
be.
No, in September there will.
Only tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, and then in September, there will be. There'll be a kind of welcome back, end of the summer kind of concert in the park.
Is that going to be with the same group?
We don't know yet. We have to book them. When last Thursday was, I guess, the last meeting of the 4th of July committee, and the next meeting will then be the special events committee. So, be one of the first things we talk about.
Okay. All right, let's take a 5-minute break, and then we can open for the 8 o'clock meeting.
I gave you a number of memos, contracts.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Of course.
All in favor?
You cited the Local Service Act.
Yes, shared service.